Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Magic Steve for RTGomer.com, and I figured everyone else has a review movies in their car after they're done watching it show. Why not me? So we just got done watching the Battle of Five Armies, The Hobbit. To my right is the aptly named Shire, and to my back, this is DeadTenor. Alrighty. So first up, we're going to do things a little different. We are going to talk in depth about the movie. But we're going to start out saying whether or not we liked it. I have no idea what their opinion is. We have not talked about it yet, so I'm going to go first. I liked it. I actually liked the Hobbit movies more than the Lord of the Rings movies. Did I love this movie? No, but I thought it was a fitting end to a fun series. Definitely flaws, but overall I had a good time. Shire.
I was going in thinking that this was going to be The Hobbit: Return of the King. In other words, I was thinking it was just going to be a redux of that, kinda. And it was and it wasn't. I did actually enjoy it more than I thought I would. Yeah, it had flaws. These movies will always be compared to the Lord of the Rings movies. And everybody says, oh, the Hobbit movies are worse. I agree and disagree. But I did enjoy watching this movie.
Okay. Boom. Tenor.
Yeah, I liked it. You know, it had kind of touched on a lot of little things that the older movies from 10 years ago, you know, with touching on Saruman or on
You're talking about
Saruman and
Sauron?
Sauron, yeah.
Why did he do that? Why did Tolkien name them so similar?
I know, right? And, yeah, it touched on a lot of things that I liked in the movies. Wasn't a great movie, like Shire over here was saying. It wasn't quite as good as, you know, Return of the King. But, yeah, I liked it.
Okay. So now I guess we'll talk a little bit more in depth. There are going to be spoilers. If you have not seen the movie or have not read the book, then you may want to hit pause and go watch it. But if you really don't, I mean, you've seen Lord of the Rings. If you don't know what happens by now, go fuck yourself. Anyway, no, I'm kidding.
Now, I didn't actually read any of the books. I tried Hobbit when I was very young, like 10. And after a page of that level of description, I was like, ha ha ha, no. So I didn't pick up any of the books later on when the movies came out to see what the differences were, because I knew there were differences, like where the books ended and then the movies ended, etc. That kind of stuff. So I haven't read anything. And I know some things that people have said, oh, this is different, oh, this is different. But I don't know in-depth knowledge, so I don't know how different this is, how different the Hobbit 3 movies were from just the book, as well as on any of the Lord of the Rings movies.
See, when I was a kid, I did read The Hobbit many times. I used to love the Rankin and Bass cartoon. Loved it. I watched it every day for, I think, like a year. The book is amazing. I prefer the Hobbit book over the Lord of the Rings books. I'm sorry, I do.
One thing, though, in the movies, they didn't have the songs. Were you sad they didn't have the songs from the cartoon? You know?
They have their own song. The song they sing at Bilbo's house it's different, but very similar. And, you know, it's a different adaptation. I'm fine with that. I enjoyed the songs. Actually, Shire mentioned at the end, during the end credits, there's a song sung by... Who sung it again?
Billy Boyd.
Yeah, Billy Boyd, who played... Was it Merry or Pippin?
I think he was Pip.
I think it was Pippin, yeah.
Look it up on IMDb. Merry or Pip sang the end credits song. He did a good job. I was impressed.
Something up anyways.
He's going to look it up, ladies and gentlemen. While he's looking that up, I'll say... I mean, the movie picks up right where the last one left off. We get to see Smaug. Literally where the last one left off. We get to see Smaug and all his glory. And I'll say right now, the CG in this movie...
Pippin.
It was
Billy Boyd was Pippin.
Billy Boyd was Pip. You heard it here first, folks. Unless you already knew that. But the CG in this movie ranged from really good to passable. Nothing was really shitty, I thought.
You could tell, especially when we had these silly acrobatic hijinks, which we'll get into in a second.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not everything looks smooth, but I don't think anything was, like, ridiculous level of bad.
No, but then again, remember the type of movies that we watch.
Yeah, this is true. But that being said, Smaug looked fucking amazing. I mean, he looked good in the last movie, but in this one, I don't know. they upped their game on him. He looked and sounded threatening, and that's how you start the movie. You get him wreaking havoc on Lake Town. What you wanted to see, what you were pumped to see at the end of the last movie, what you just were itching to watch, they kick it right off with that for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then it's over. It's short and sweet. Really sweet, but like way too short. And then Bard, fires his arrow. Uses his own son as a bow, by the way. I mean, that's got to be a new one. His bow breaks. Smaug's like, oh, look at that. What are you going to do? So he grabs his son, stretches a string between his shoulder blades, and pulls it. I mean, it's like straight up Chuck Norris shit.
Don't look, son.
Yeah, there's a moment.
Don't look, son. I was in Dracula: The Story Untold.
Was that Dracula?
That was the guy. Yeah, that was the same guy that was in Dracula: The Untold Story.
I did not watch it. I watched Film Brain's review and decided, nope, I'm going to pass this one.
Yeah, I could tell it was going to be horrible. I wanted to go see it just because I knew it was going to be horrible. I never got a chance.
Right. But anyway, they kill Smaug early, and from there on, Thorin starts to go kind of. He gets gold fever, from the old DuckTales cartoon, and
he doesn't swim in the gold though.
They really should. Fuck.
No,
I didn't even think about it.
The gold eats him up, remember? In the little, crazy sequence?
Oh, yes, the drug trip.
Holy shit, good thinking. But still, they've got this, bin, basically the money bin full of gold coins, and someone's got to animate that. Thorin diving in like Scrooge McDuck.
I guarantee you, within a week, it'll be on DeviantArt.
Maybe it's up now. It's been out for, a few days now?
Yeah.
So anyway, that happens. Excuse me. Too much popcorn. What? Let's see. They the Lake Town decides they're gonna seek shelter. They ask Thorin for help. Thorin's like, no, fuck you. And help me out, guys. What? I mean, it's so much happens that it's kind of hard to remember the sequence of events.
So the big thing is, let's see here. We've got. Oh man. I'm currently looking at the whole IMDb because
he's cheating.
you can never remember all these characters.
Right.
How many dwarves can you name? Not many.
Sneezy, Happy, Grumpy, Dopey.
Okay, Lee Pace as another fantasy villain, because remember he was Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy, and so he's being an elf saying, hey, they've got our stuff, we want it. And then you have the Lake Town people who take shelter and say, you made a promise to us, you were going to give us a share of the gold that you got, and now you're not doing it. And so Thorin is slowly going crazy and slowly becoming more and more evil. And it's basically just, it's a lot of gathering. It's a lot of getting everybody into their little places.
It is, but I don't think they ever took too long to. I think it was very well paced.
No, yeah, that's one of the things. Is I was worried that there's been pacing issues in some of the Hobbit movies already, but they really did a good job here. One of the things I remember is I saw the Fellowship of the Ring with my dad, and when I saw that, we got out of there and it was 3 hours later. But my dad was like, did it feel like 3 hours? And I was like, no. And that's the thing, is that a lot of these movies are very well paced, some not so much. But there was very good pacing here.
Yes.
So I was really worried about that. There was going to be pacing issues. But there wasn't any pacing issue at all, which it was good to see they fixed that.
Yep. So anyway, right off the bat, Thorin says, fuck you, I'm not going to help you. Then the elves show up. They do expand on the subplot with Sauron being discovered. They have actually Gandalf. When we left Gandalf in the last movie, he was locked in a cage.
That's actually that's another subplot of the Necromancer, I believe it was called. Where
was it that or the Silmarillion?
That was from what he said.
Right. Okay, from the Silmarillion. But the Necromancer, which was another, I guess, avatar or version of Sauron.
Oh, he's got so many forms. I mean, there's the voice, the hand, the dick. I'm sure there's the dick of Sauron, which I guess would be Saruman because he creates other orcs. So yeah, Saruman is the dick of Sauron apparently. But anyway, Galadriel and she shows up to try and It is Galadriel, right?
Galadriel.
I always-
Galadriel.
I
is
always
the way-
mispronounce her name. It's why are they got to be so hard to pronounce? She, the White Witch girl, shows up to save Gandalf. Gets crowded by ghosts, and there are ghosts, and
The ghosts of all the ring wraiths.
yes,
Nazgul.
yes, and they actually, okay, the way they did them in this movie, it seemed very minimalistic to me. It was almost like, how can I describe it? It was very cheesily done, but in a good way. Like, I was actually kind of digging it. It was very low tech, low budget.
It was, but in a way, it also showed them off. One of the things that the ring wraiths suffered from in the first three, I mean Lord of the Rings movies, is that you couldn't tell them apart.
Oh, no.
But each and every single ring wraith was their own character.
They had
in a
their
way.
own armor, their own look.
And if any of you have ever played any of the Citadel games, Warhammer and whatnot, they had a Lord of the Rings there, and they each had like the base ring wraiths that all looked the same, and then they had individual ones that showed off their individuality. And in this movie, we actually got to see that. We got to see every single one of the 9 ring wraiths was different, not, just the one big one whose name I can't remember. With his crown and everything being different from the others, and all
Right.
the rest being just, the same thing.
Exactly, they did look good. But there's this big belt. She's overcrowded by them. And then
Agent Smith shows up.
Agent Smith shows up. Elrond shows up with Saruman, who is, at this point, they don't know that he's turned. So they're all three of them are fighting the wraiths, kicking ass too. Agent Smith gets his badass moment. By the way, this is the only time you will see him in this movie. It's like, thanks for coming,
In subplot B-7, blah blah blah.
blah 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 blah. But they kick their ass. Sauron does eventually show up, because I thought that was him at the end.
It is, yes,
yes,
that is Sauron
They-
as the necromancer.
Yes, they kill all the ring wraiths. Sauron as the necromancer shows up, and Galadriel, Gala, whoever,
Gal.
Thank you, the Gal. Basically goes into Avatar mode. Like she gets into the Avatar state and kicks some ass.
Her voice gets real low. She's like going Darth Vader on him.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
we kind of saw that in the first Fellowship, where her like she goes
She's tempted.
gray and everything like that.
She's tempted by the ring, and she goes all.
And we did see a teaser.
Psycho.
Here's the thing, though: in none of the movies, in any of the 6 movies, do they ever, probably in the extended cut, but I'm talking about the theatrical release, they never explain how or why she does that. Like
I haven't watched the extended cuts in a
yeah,
long time,
I
so
don't know if they
remember.
do, but in any event, it's pretty cool because she at that point was kind of being sucked dry by the evil of the place. Sauron shows up. She pops up out of nowhere, is like, "Fuck you!" And he's like, "Okay," and he leaves.
They banish him
Yes.
from the place.
But then they get into the nitty gritty of it, the actual battle. At this point, Thorin is still cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He still wants his jewel, the
Arkenstone.
Thank you, the Arkenstone. I have a terrible time remembering these names.
I mostly know that name because of David Arkenstone, who's like an ambient.
Ah,
composer.
very nice.
So
he wants the Arkenstone. Bilbo has it, but he's afraid to give it to him because he's afraid it'll make it worse. And the elves and the humans rally together and they're like, we want the money that we're owed. And Thorin's like, "Fuck you!" And they're like, "Okay, you're gonna die." So to try and prevent war, Bilbo gives the Arkenstone to the humans and elves as a bartering chip, basically, so they can deal with Thorin. Say, "Hey, you want your stone back that you want so bad? Give us what we need." And then they do just that. The day of the battle, they ride up to the front gate. By the way, it's just Thorin and the other dwarves at this point. They haven't got an army of their own, but right. Thorin's like, "Fuck you!" And
they chip a bunch of giant stones and make it so you can't get through. And
right. But anyway, the Arkenstone, they present it to him like, "Hey, we have this," and the other dwarves are like, "Thorin, they have the Arkenstone," and he goes, "It's a trick. It's got to be a trick." And Bilbo's like, "No, it's really not. I gave it to them. My bad." So then Thorin tries to kill Bilbo. Bilbo escapes. The battle's on. It's time to fight.
And oh, don't forget that Gandalf shows off.
Oh yeah, Gandalf shows up. They did free him from the cage. He escaped, and now he shows up to try and prevent the battle. Doesn't work. So then, someone else want to take over from here?
Well, then the orcs show up. I cannot remember the name of that orc. The one that's missing a hand, so he replaces it with like a claw.
I'm just going to call him Great White.
Yeah, let's just call him
the white orc.
The Great White Orc.
I want the Great White Orc.
And so they show up, and when the orcs show up, it's a big battle. And the cousin of Thorin shows up, who's another dwarf with his own army, and they start fighting, and things are going okay. You know, got the humans that are not exactly fighters or soldiers or anything, like doing their best, and
Herzog the Betrayer, that's his name.
There we go. Thank you. Herzog the Betrayer. And, you know, things are going okay. Things start to go poorly, you know, for dramatic tension. Finally, Thorin has his whole trip out scene where he realizes, oh, you know, I'm doing the wrong thing. And then he goes out with his own retinue of a retinue of dwarves and starts fighting, and things start turning better. But then they learn... in another side plot, we have...
There's a lot of side plots in this movie.
Yeah, I want to talk about something else there in a second. But anyways, side plot of Legolas and... what is her name? Toriel, the female elf, going off to the borders of the kingdom of Angmar, which is like an evil kingdom, another evil kingdom ruled over by Sauron. And they end up finding out that there's all these gigantic bats that are going to be attacking along with another army. So they ride back to warn the other armies. And then they... what else? Then they do more... It's a lot of fighting. Thorin and Killian Philly and...
It reminded me
Lauren.
a lot of the Two Towers when all the Uruk-hai, or whatever the heck they were called.
Yeah, Uruk-hai.
There was a lot of similarities in there, how they overtook the wall and everything.
Yeah, there was a lot of, you know, siege fighting. And then they go and try and find the betrayer, and they end up finding, you know, it's been a trap, and they're gonna die, and all this other kind of stuff. More fighting. You know, things are turning against them.
Very action-packed, this movie.
Yeah, this is basically half an hour of setup and 2.5 hours of battle. Which, for some people, that's okay. For some, it's not.
But it's good
I liked
battle.
it. It was a good battle because it flowed well.
Yes.
And that's really important when you have a battle, is that as long as the battle flows, which they've kind of got a thing going with all of the different Lord of the Rings movies, is that they know how to do battles.
Yeah, well, like Helm's Deep, the battle everyone, you know, raves about.
Yeah.
I think it's just okay. I think my favorite battle prior to this movie would be the in Return of the King. When they've got the Ghost Army and the big...
Yeah.
That was a really well-shot, well-paced battle. The Five Armies battle, which lasts a good chunk of the movie, is equally good.
But in the end, Thorin dies, Killy and...
Spoilers.
Philly, well, we already did that.
I know.
Killy and Philly die. And here's something I'm going to go over. One of the things that... Evangeline Lilly, who played Toriel, when she got into the role, she didn't want to have a love story. And initially she was told, no, there's no love story. And then they came back for reshoots and they were told, yeah, we got this thing from the studio, and there's going to be a love triangle between you, Legolas, and Philly the dwarf. And one of the things that's...
Was it Feely or Keely? I think it was Keely.
Keely, I'm sorry. Yeah. Aidan Turner, Keely, yeah. Keely. And it was just like, I had a hard time believing it. I had a hard time believing that Peter Jackson would put that in to the movie. And then I find out later, oh no, that's not the case. But of course, you know, Steve said, hey, what do the kids look like?
Yeah, I kept watching this triangle, and I'm like, okay, if a dwarf and an elf theoretically had a baby, what in the hell would it look like?
Yeah.
Is it going to be short and pretty, or tall and hairy? I mean, it's...
But that that always felt unnecessary. It felt unnecessary when I saw it in Desolation of Smog, and I understood, and I found out why later. And while it does have a point in this movie of where, Toriel comes back and tries to save Killy, and Killy ends up dying in the end, and she finds out what love means, which means suffering, which harkens back to Two Towers in Return of the King about how Elrond was telling Liv Tyler's character, who I can't remember, that loving Aragorn would be a bad thing because he'd eventually die. And I mean, it was a great sequence to watch these individual characters fighting versus watching a bunch of, armies, CGI armies fighting. Not to mention Chuck Norris Legolas.
Yes. Okay, in any Lord of the Rings movie, they always make Legolas out to be badass. I mean, he's the bait for
physics. Fuck physics.
Yeah, fuck physics. But in this movie, they go so over the top. Halfway through, I turned to Shire. I'm like, okay, he's Chuck Norris. He's Elven Chuck Norris, and it's really true. Like I'll give you an example. At one point, after he's already done a shitload of badass stuff that's physically impossible, he's on a bridge that's crumbling.
That's it.
As the rocks are falling, they're not connected to anything. He is jumping from one rock to the other.
It was like
it's not even jumping more. It's walking really quickly.
Yes, he's walking defying physics. Fuck you.
It was like it was like watching a 1980s platformer video game, watching him crawl across the screen.
Oh, it was straight up Prince of Persia shit.
It was.
But he's
so over the top, it was not.
He's running up, which is already a badass thing in itself. He gets to the top. There's an orc there. For you wrestling fans, he jumps up, hurricanranas the orc off of the bridge, all in one fluid motion, and then poses. He fucking poses.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what that move is, basically, he takes and wraps his legs around, wraps his legs and thighs around the guy's neck, and then flips.
Giggity.
And... yeah,
it's... I'm not gonna lie,
one of the things is in the elven lore, and you might have noticed this in Fellowship, is that elves don't have the same kind of bone structure as other humanoids, and as such, they're extremely light, and, like, in Fellowship, he was not sinking into the snow while everybody else was climbing up that mountain, if you noticed it.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's one of the things, because elves' bodies are... their bone structure or whatever is so light they don't sink into snow and stuff like that. But we're supposed to believe that he's supposed to be able to do that Hurricana, whatever the thing is you said. Hurricanrana flip move on an orc that probably weighs about 3 times him.
He's
about 2 feet taller. But again, it's Legolas, so we can accept this.
Exactly. I don't give a shit. It was badass. Every time he's on the screen, I'm like, okay, hold on. I have to see what he does. At one point, all three of us bust out laughing. The bats, the war bats, they're bred specifically for war. They're flying by.
That's going to be a meme, by the way. The whole... those things are bred for war. That's going to turn into a meme. I guarantee if it hasn't already become a meme.
Be the next took an arrow to the knee. But the war bats are flying by. Legolas doesn't even react. He just casually reaches up and grabs one of them by the legs and starts guiding it and flying it. Then he flips upside down and starts shooting people upside down while hanging from the bat. When he's done, he just casually pulls an arrow, flips, shoots it in the head, just does a flip, lands on a pillar, done. Pose.
Yeah.
Well, I did have the scene though where he went for his quiver and there was no arrows.
Yes.
There.
Oh my gosh.
He finally runs out of arrows.
Yes, I have been waiting for this for so long, guys. Not just that, in any of these movies. I think maybe they did it in Avengers, but
they did do it in Avengers when Hawkeye runs out of arrows.
Sure, but at least in Lord of the Rings, anytime you see an archer, you see him fire a million fucking arrows, he never runs out. Legolas runs out. I cheered like a madman.
Yeah, and especially Legolas, because it has been proven that Legolas, the way he fires, is impossible, physically impossible. The best archer in the world cannot fire as fast as Legolas does. But again, it's Legolas. Fuck physics.
Elven Chuck Norris.
Yes.
Legolas! So, anyway, they, going back to the synopsis, the battle's going on. Thorin snaps out of his Scrooge McDuck syndrome. He goes to fight a Great White. It's a trap. They do end up fighting, and while they were fighting in a lot of the battles in this movie, it seems like it was tailor-made to be a video game. I'm sure there's a tie-in game somewhere, but if not, like, when he's fighting Great White,
Well, they just
he
released
has a pattern. He has this big rock on a chain, kind of like a giant flail, and he has a pattern that he follows. And just like in a video game, Thorin learns the pattern and starts dodging, and he doesn't deviate from the pattern. He sticks with it. It's like they were trying to make it so much like a video game, which...
You mean the Lord of the Rings video game they just released?
Oh, Shadow of Mordor? I have it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Different than that. The boss... Actually, the boss battles in Shadow of Mordor are more dynamic than in this movie.
Oh.
But,
played it yet.
oh, it's good. Pick up Shadow of
It's on my
Mordor.
to-do list. Play that game.
But anyway, the battle ends, the Eagles show up, which is the ultimate Deus Ex Machina. They're not even in the movie that long. It's like, as soon as the Eagles show up, fuck it. It's all done.
And Hadagast, or whatever his name, the brown...
Radagast, yeah.
Radagast, yeah. He finally gets his shining moment.
Yep, the Eagles
And
show
tell
up.
me, and everybody here and both on the internet, please tell me you wouldn't want his sleigh pulled by rabbits.
Oh, totally. Oh, Peter Cottontail, with your tail so white, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Indeed. We're being blinded.
Yeah.
There's a car pulling away. Blinded by the light. There he goes.
Okay.
Okay. So, the battle's over. Thorin dies. Him and Bilbo have this touching heart-to-heart. It's the classic scene where he's like, you were wrong. Or, I mean, I was wrong. You were right all along. I wish to part with you in friendship. And I'm sorry, I like, it's Martin Freeman, right?
It's Martin Freeman.
I like Martin Freeman a lot as Bilbo, but
He didn't do a very good job.
he is mugging for the camera. Thorin is dying. It's supposed to be a very touching scene, and Bilbo is making these weird comical faces that you would expect for like a lighthearted scene. It felt very out of place.
Well, it did and it didn't. I think what he was trying to do is it was trying to show him he was trying to say, no, you're not dying, you're not dying. You know, you're not dying. We should, we're trying to be comical. In a way, I think it was trying to show his way of dealing with death.
I thought that too,
comedy.
but if that was it, then I'm sorry, he didn't pull it off. But you do have a point, he's like, you're not dying, and once again, Thorin says, fuck you, I'm dying! But it's, he dies, the battle's over, Bilbo goes back to the Shire, everyone apparently had a yard sale and sold off his shit because they thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And then we flash forward to
The beginning of
Fellowship. Yep, he's sitting in his study. He's looking at the ring, old Bilbo again, and there's a knock at the door, and it's the scene where he says, "We don't want any well wishers," and you get to see that scene from Bilbo's perspective instead of Gandalf's. That was really neat.
Yeah.
And then it ends. But overall, I did enjoy the movie. I think it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
It's not a movie that I'm ever going to, like on a casual Saturday afternoon, gee, I have nothing to do today. Oh, let's pop in Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies. It's not one of those kind of movies.
No.
But it's something that I would have wanted to see, and I'm glad I did.
I do recommend it. I recommend... A lot of people got turned off by the first one and then got even more turned off by the second one.
Yeah.
The journey begins and then Desolation of Smog. And I see the problems there. So they didn't end up... So they're not going to go see this one. But I say go see all three because... Which some theaters did.
I will say I enjoyed all three Hobbit movies, again, more than Lord of the Rings, but I will say this is definitely the best out of the three. Out of the three movies, I think Battle of Five Armies was the most well put together and the most entertaining.
Yes, out of the three it was, because the thing is that people are just going to compare this to the other Lord of the Rings movies, which they did with the other Hobbit movies, and are the Hobbit movies as good as any of the Lord of the Rings movies? I will say no, but the thing is, it's still a Peter Jackson movie. It's still really, really good. Though I am disheartened that they didn't have somebody with a lawnmower strapped to their chest.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know, go see, was it Dead Alive?
Dead Alive.
It was Dead Alive. Because before Peter Jackson was making epic fantasy movies, he was making schlocky horror zombie movies.
And it has probably the bloodiest scene out of any independent...
Yes.
Like, if you've seen Evil Dead 2, fuck Evil Dead 2. I mean, for those of you who are like, blasphemy! No, seriously, see Dead Alive. The lawnmower strapped to his chest scene, yeah, oh my gosh, I don't even want to know how much fake blood they went through in that scene.
think it depends on parts of the world. Some places called Dead Alive, some places called Brain Dead.
Yep,
Brain
Brain
Dead.
Dead.
Brain Dead.
Or is it Brain Dead or Brain Damage?
I think it's Brain Dead.
One of those two. Google it, you'll come across it.
Yeah.
It also has one of my favorite archetypes that I don't see enough of, the Kung Fu Priest, who has probably the most badass line short of "Fuck you, Lucky Charms."
Isn't it? I kick ass in the name of the Lord.
Yes. A zombie's coming at him. He does a few backflips and some stuff completely out of the blue. Nothing has indicated that he knows Kung Fu in the movie. And all of a sudden, he knows Kung Fu. He strikes a pose. You get the kind of Jaws fade-in scene on his face. And he goes, I kick ass in the name of the Lord. And you're like, yes! Get him, priest! And then he dies.
So, what do you say?
Yeah, I liked it. It tied it up nicely, and it wasn't as good as the older trilogy of movies, but it had the same spirit.
Yeah.
It had the same spirit. So yeah, it tied it up nicely, and it's fast paced. We've got all the setup out of the way. So yeah, it ties up nicely, and it's only 2.25 hours, I think.
Yeah, was it 2.25 or was it 2.5?
It might have been.
It was definitely the shortest of the.
And you didn't have all the false
in a
endings.
good way. I'm sorry, 3 hours is too long for any movie for me to sit through.
And it didn't have any of the false endings that we had with Return of the King.
Oh my God.
None of those.
Oh, they're done with the. Oh no, we got more. Oh, they're gonna no. It's yeah. That was bad. I mean, I understand. That was to get the entire story done, but that was just not good.
Mm-hmm.
So
overall, let's see what we would rate it, and let's give our favorite and least favorite moment. I give it, out of let's say a 5-star system, I give it a 3.5. Strong 3.5. I did enjoy it. I was entertained, and I'm glad I saw it. By the way, we did see it in IMAX 3D.
yes, which was actually kind of worth it.
I thought it was nice, but like a lot of IMAX 3D movies, I forgot I was watching 3D halfway into it.
Yep, your mind. It's like your brain gets adjusted to it, and you lose the wow factor of the 3D.
Yeah, there's a few movies
Well,
that
then
are the
just tip your
exception.
head to the side, because the thing is,
Yeah.
Or take the glasses off for 2 minutes and then put them back on.
But I give it a 3.5 out of 5. My favorite moment was anything with Elvin Chuck Norris. I'm sorry, it just made it so worthwhile. My least favorite moment, probably Martin Freeman's mugging for. I agree they could have been going for that. I just don't think they pulled it off.
Yeah.
And Shire?
I'd give this like a 3.5. I really don't like doing ratings, to be entirely honest, just because you should look at it from a perspective of the whole thing, and putting numbers on things. That's me. That's me.
Fine.
But anyways, 3.5 stars. Favorite moment, I would have to say it was the trip out of Thorin, because that was actually really well done, because it's sometimes very hard to show insanity and craziness in a movie, just because displaying how somebody is seeing something different than the rest of the world, how the rest of the world perceives it and how they're perceiving it, is very difficult to show. But they actually did a really good job, I thought, showing the insanity, showing the voices in the head, showing him being consumed by the gold around him.
They did it a lot like how any of the ring bears in the other movies would like that dual like Gollum and Frodo to a point. It was kind of that vibe, and I liked that. I liked it a lot.
But I'd say the one thing that bothered me is that again, the whole added in love triangle of Legolas continually going with a woman who is obviously not interested in him because he keeps thinking he has a chance, and this woman who suddenly becomes attracted to a dwarf, this elven woman who becomes attracted to a dwarf, who, when she first meets him, he's in a holding cell. And
Chicks like bad boys, what can I say?
But no, that was that again, it was studio meandering. It was studio, it was a studio doing something that, they said, oh, we need to include this, and Peter Jackson did it, and I didn't like it in any of the movie. I didn't like it in the last movie, I didn't like it in this movie.
No, sir, I don't like it. DeadTenor.
Well, I like that they took some of the expanded material. I was kind of going in here anticipating, well, I've heard things about how the movie's kind of padded in places because it's covering the last, third of the book, which is what, like 130 pages or something like that, with everything after or leading up to the dragon dying. But where was I going with this?
Leading up to the dragon dying.
Yeah, so
Last
they
130
took the
pages.
expanded material, and they were able to flesh it out. I liked how they touched with Sauron and Saruman, and that's just mentioned very briefly in the expanded materials, and it kind of worked. I was kind of expecting it to be, oh yeah, whatever, it's just to kill another half hour in the movie, but I liked it. So I liked that they took the expanded material and kind of worked it in the movie, that it made sense. What didn't I like? Well, I'm with Shire on the kind of forced love story. I was totally not buying it.
Yeah.
I was just sort of like, okay, yeah, she, it's kind of hard to do when you're working with, a 2-3 hour span of story where, between the points where they meet the first time, but it's like the only thing they could really show as a token of that love was this one rock.
Well,
that
it had dwarven runes.
It had
which meant
dwarven
something,
runes
but-
on it, right. It was a dwarven rune rock, but it just kind of felt forced, and I just wasn't buying it at the end.
It had a very almost kind of sitcom feel, like he's a dwarf, she's an elf. Together they're gonna have a wacky relationship.
Yeah.
Coming soon to ABC. Fuck you.
Or here's the thing. Killy, right?
Yeah, Keely.
Keely, to me, I don't know what look they were going for here. Homeless dwarf was truly because he looked homeless.
Yes.
And we're supposed to believe this is kind of like, the bad boy, the poor bad boy ends up with the rich girl. No. The rich, nice girl. That kind of story.
Oh my gosh, this is the song Rude in movie form.
I hate that song.
This is Rude in movie. There you go. Keely and Tal, whatever. The elf girl. It's Rude, but it's put onto a movie.
Toriel.
Plus, she wasn't even in the book. It's been a while since I've read The Hobbit.
Not in the original Hobbit, no, but I'm sure in one of the expanded, books. I'm sure she pops up somewhere. Anyway, that's all the time we have. Thanks again for watching. If you want to see us do this more, I know there's a lot of shows like this, but if you like our bit, then comment below, let me know, and let us know what you want us to watch.
Is there anything to see, like, in January you guys want to check out?
Well, remains to be seen. I really don't know what comes out in January.
Because I do want to do our wonderful double screening of Jupiter Ascending and Seventh Son, which looks, they both look horrible, but that's what's going to make them fun.
So I'll tell you what, if you guys want to see us review Jupiter Ascending and Seventh Son at the same time, do a double feature and let you know which one is worse. Just let me know in the comments, say we want to see this, and we'll make it happen. So until then, I'm Magic Steve.
I'm Shire
DeadTenor.
And you all have a good one. Be safe, and hey, Merry Christmas.